the rope and the broadcast. The square in New Geneva smelled of rain and fear. On the raised platform stood 4 women, hands bound, necks looped in thick alien fiber ropes that shimmered faintly under the overcast sky. Behind them, towering over the human crowd, stood 2 Yevlar executioners in silver armor, their insectoid faces unreadable. The Empire's governor spoke in his clicking, guttural language. A translation device blared the words into the air. These females are guilty of aiding insurgents, obstructing imperial requisitions, and spreading sedition. Their fate shall be a warning. Across the crowd, no one moved. Human soldiers, collaborators, stood among the civilians, rifles ready. The Empire's banners, black and gold, hung from the surrounding towers, flapping in the wind like the wings of carrion birds. Leah Moran, the eldest of the condemned, stood tall despite the rope biting into her skin. Her voice carried, clear and unbroken. We smuggled bread to children. If that is treason, then we are guilty. The nearest executioner twisted its mandibles in irritation. The governor gestured. The platform began to rise, lifted by a grav-pulse column, until it hovered 30 meters above the square. The Empire called this method elevated displacement. Humans called it what it was, hanging. The ropes tightened. Bodies jerked, twitched, stilled. Somewhere someone sobbed. The Empire's drones circled overhead, broadcasting the execution live to every human settlement in the system. The governor's parting words crackled over the feed. Order is mercy. Mercy is obedience. The feed ended officially, but the underground networks had already recorded it. By nightfall, the footage would appear with no filters, no imperial narration, just the sight of 4 human women dying for the crime of compassion. In the mining colony of Vesta, 9, former Terra Marine Captain Elias Ward watched the recording on a flickering holoscreen in a cramped mess hall. The air tasted of metal and stale coffee. Around him, miners stared in silence, fists clenched. He had seen war before, but this was something else. Not a battle, not collateral damage. This was deliberate humiliation, designed to remind humanity of its place. The place the Empire thought they belonged. Ward shut off the screen. The mess hall seemed smaller, hotter. They think this will make us afraid, he said quietly. They don't understand us at all. Across the belt, in smuggler ports and factory habs, others felt the same heat in their veins. Pilots, hackers, engineers, men and women who have been biding their time for decades, began reaching for old, hidden weapons. Secret comm channels buzzed alive after years of silence. On the prison moon of Arkan Station, a coded message appeared on a cell wall, traced in rust. The rope has been thrown. Catch it and pull. In the shadows of a derelict warship drifting near Titan, a voice whispered into a secure frequency. They wanted fear. Instead, they bought our fury. And somewhere, in the dark heart of the galaxy, the first spark of war ignited. The smolder turns to flame. The asteroid belt had always been a place for the desperate and the defiant. Now it became something else, an arsenal. On Vesta, 9, Captain Elias Ward stood in a cavernous mining bay where drills once tore at rock. Now, the space was filled with stripped freighters and mining skiffs. Welders sparked as crews grafted armor, plating to their hulls. Others fitted missile racks where loaders used to be. Every ship that can move, fight, or ram, we use it, Ward ordered. We're not building a fleet to last. We're building a fleet to hurt. The workers didn't argue. The image of the 4 women's bodies swinging from alien ropes was etched into every mind. In the data tunnels of Io, a hacker known only as Marrow traced the Empire's supply routes. Lines of glowing data spidered across her screen. She marked each depot, each relay station, each patrol path. Then she sent the file through a secure chain of relays until it reached Ward. You can't fight a beast head-on, her message read. You cut its tendons first. On Mars, in the shadow of an alien garrison tower, a factory foreman ordered a maintenance shutdown of his assembly line. For 12 hours, workers labored not on replacement parts for Imperial drones, but on high-yield shaped charges. The explosives were loaded into crates labeled as machine lubricant and sent to asteroid ports. In the back rooms of human bars and hab modules, plans formed. No one used names. No one spoke of victory. The word on every tongue was revenge. The Empire noticed nothing. In the capital's marble halls, Governor Threx dismissed a junior officer's concerns. Humans bark when they are beaten, he said, his mandibles clicking in disdain. They cannot bite, but bite they would. The first strikes came on the anniversary of the execution. Across 3 systems, explosions tore through Imperial supply depots. A convoy bringing food and medicine to an alien core world was ambushed near Ceres. The escorts disabled, the freighters destroyed. On Mars, the garrison's communications tower collapsed in a spray of fire, severing their link to orbital command. And in a moment that would be replayed on every underground broadcast, a group of masked humans stormed a governor's shuttle on Titan, dragged the alien administrator out, and executed him live on a hijacked channel. For the 4, their leader said, before pulling the trigger. The Empire's news outlets called it isolated terrorism. But in every hidden base, every cramped rebel ship, humans knew the truth. This was only the first step. Ward stood before a newly armored freighter, its name freshly painted on the hull, Justice's Hand. They gave us the rope, he told his crew. Now we pull until they hang. And across the void, the smoldering coals of humanity's rage began to burn white-hot, burning their stars. The first real battle came at the edge of the Nero system, where 3 Imperial grain convoys prepared to jump toward the core worlds. The Justice's Hand dropped from hyperspace in a burst of blue light, followed by 17 more human vessels. Most were converted freighters, their hulls scorched and ugly. But everyone carried weapons the Empire had never seen in human hands. No prisoners, Ward ordered. Leave 1 ship burning to tell the story. They struck without warning, missiles ripping through cargo bays, railguns punching holes through armored hulls. The convoys tried to scatter, but human navigators had already recalibrated local beacon codes, feeding false coordinates into their jump drives. 1 alien freighter emerged from hyperspace inside an asteroid field and was torn apart within seconds. When the smoke cleared, 2 convoys were nothing but debris. The third limped away, flames trailing in the vacuum. From that day, the war was no longer whispers in the dark. Human fleets roamed the trade lanes like wolves, striking where the Empire was fat and slow. Orbital fuel stations detonated in chain reactions visible from planetary surfaces. On Velis, 4, an Imperial barracks awoke to find its armory empty, its guards dead, and its command flag burning in the courtyard. But the most feared weapon was not ships or guns. It was the message. Hackers seized alien broadcast towers, overriding regular programming with a loop. The footage of the 4 women's execution. But now, each hanging was followed by images of alien cities burning, soldiers' bodies floating in space, and human fleets advancing. A voice spoke over the montage. For each rope you tie around a human neck, we will pull it around 100 of yours. The Empire began to feel something it had not felt in centuries. Fear. Governor Threx, once dismissive, now sent frantic requests for reinforcements. Imperial patrol captains hesitated to stop lone human ships, fearing ambush. Trade between core worlds slowed to a crawl. Worse, whispers of human defiance spread to other conquered species. On the world of Tharlus, miners refused their work quotas. In the Orvik colonies, alien workers smuggled food to human rebels. The turning point came when the Free Terran fleet ambushed the Imperial dreadnought Vornith. Instead of destroying it, human boarding teams fought deck by deck, flushing defenders out with plasma grenades. When the dreadnought's bridge finally fell, Ward stood over the alien admiral. "This ship will burn your stars for us now," he said. Within weeks, human engineers were tearing into the Vornith's systems, reverse engineering weapons, shields, and propulsion tech the Empire had guarded for generations. For the first time, humanity could face the Empire in open battle and win. The Empire had hanged 4 women to break a people's spirit. Instead, They had given humanity a war it had been secretly preparing for all along, and the fire was only growing. Until its ash, the Terran War Council met aboard the captured dreadnought Vornith, now rechristened the Gallows. A holographic star map glowed above the central table, the Empire's capital world, Virith Prime, at its center. Ward stood with his hands clasped behind his back. We strike now. They've recalled half their frontier fleets to protect their trade. That leaves their heart exposed. There were no objections. Humanity had never been this close to the throat of its enemy. The plan was ruthless in its simplicity. Jump directly into Virith Prime's orbit using stolen slipstream coordinates ripped from the Vornith's databanks. No siege, no slow advance, just a knife to the heart. When the fleet emerged from slipspace, the capital's defense grid lit up with alarm beacons. The Empire's Great Ring stations, normally symbols of power, now panicked as human missiles and rail slugs tore through their shielding. The Justice's hand led the first wave, ramming a defense cruiser broadside before unloading its missile bays into the planetary shield generators. In under 2 hours, the unthinkable had happened. The capital lay open. Dropships screamed through the atmosphere, burning trails into the crimson sky. Ward's boots hit the marble steps of the Imperial Council chambers. Human Marines poured in after him, cutting down guards in bursts of plasma fire. Inside, the Emperor and the officials who had signed the execution order were waiting, not with weapons, but with the cold arrogance of rulers who could not imagine their own deaths. This is a violation of every interstellar law, the Emperor spat. Ward's reply was steady. So it was hanging 4 women for feeding the hungry. The prisoners were dragged outside into the plaza, where alien civilians watched in stunned silence. A gallows, assembled from salvaged Imperial scaffolding, stood waiting. The broadcast began. Across the galaxy, human and alien alike saw the Emperor and his ministers with ropes around their necks. The image was deliberate, mirrored to match the footage from New Geneva 71 years ago. Ward's voice carried through every speaker. You taught us this rope. We return it to you. The platform dropped. The bodies jerked and swung. In that moment, the galaxy understood. Humanity's war was not conquest. It was justice, sharpened into vengeance. Within months, the Empire fractured. Frontier governors declared independence rather than face the Terran fleets. Conquered worlds rose in rebellion. On Earth, a memorial stood in New Geneva Square. 4 bronze figures faced the sky, ropes around their necks, their eyes unbroken. The plaque read, "They lit the fire that burned a galaxy." Ward visited only once. He stood in silence, then turned away. The war had ended, but the lesson remained. Humanity would never bow again.